Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at many of the top Bitcoin mining stocks, as well as some indicators that I watch to see if we are getting a local cycle top in the crypto market so we can have a somewhat decent idea on when may be a good idea to possibly pull profits. So we're going to get into all that. Let's start off with crypto fear and greed. And on CNN, it was down into high fear, has gone back up into neutral. And on pie vesting, you can see that same thing as well, as down in neutral and then bounce back up a little bit. So we'll see if this momentum continues. Again, these are stocks. However, when we look at what these mining stocks have done in the past, they've more followed along with the price action of Bitcoin, crypto, the alt season. So we'll take a brief look at that. And if you want a more in-depth look into any of that and where we are in the crypto cycle, because mining stocks follow the cycle really well, it's pretty highly correlated, then you should check out my weekly videos where I talk about the Bitcoin rainbow chart and some different things I look for as far as the price action and where I think the price of Bitcoin is going. Going over to crypto fear and greed, we have gone up back to 75. So we are right on the precipice of extreme greed. I think we are going to hit extreme greed should Bitcoin close to new all-time highs yet again. And if we zoom back here a little bit, we were in this downtrend from greed to fear, or really, a little bit of fear, just kind of neutral fear, but have been going back up. So higher highs, higher lows, going a little bit sideways here. So it looks like the crypto market, you could see this on the last one too, just going a little bit sideways here, and maybe it's getting ready for a big explosive movement, whether up or down. If I had to guess, my guess would be up. And that's because, well, a few reasons, but one of which is right here, and that's the alt season index. And you can see that in 2020, 2021, there were three spikes in alt season. Really, the end of alt season was in here. I know there were some alts, I want to say Matic was one of them, that topped over here. But when Bitcoin dominance, which is one indicator you can watch for, when that tanks, many of the alts ran in here. And yes, they were running here too. So I've been wondering, are we going to get another, 2 to 4 spikes, something like that? And it looks like after this downtrend, we've been starting this uptrend. And does this not look like this is getting ready to possibly spike up? So we will see, but higher lows, higher highs, and it's starting to curve upwards. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe an alt season spike is around the corner. We will see. Going over to the rainbow chart, you can see we're just about at that median value. This is one thing to watch for. And what's nice about this chart, at least on blockchaincenter.net, is that if you scroll over to any certain date, it gives you different ranges. I'm watching that second from the top red to that orange range and seeing what the price range is in there. And should price get up there, you guys can see it doesn't hang around there for too long. And typically when it spikes, either at the top or just about right after, is when Bitcoin dominance tanks. And that's when the money rolls over from Bitcoin into altcoins, or in this case, even mining stocks. So we will get into that. Price of Bitcoin, I have this on the Heikin-Ashi candles. And right now I'm looking at the weekly. And the reason I have Heikin-Ashi candles is because if you go to the regular candles, it's just a bit messy. And I think the Heikin-Ashi candles bring some order out of the chaos, if you will. I am looking for a weekly candle body close, or open and close, at least mostly above this gray line. This is around the former all-time high in 2021. Yes, we've made new all-time highs. However, the wick is only gone about 9%-ish above the former all-time high. That's sort of, I add a plus 9% and a lower 9% to my Fibonacci retracement scale that I do here, just to see if it's possible to catch any fake out moves. It's pretty good at it. So you can add that on if you will, just plus minus 0.09. I'll show you that right here. You click on your fib, do that. And yeah, just like this. That's all you got to add right there. But I want to see a candle body close above, because in the past, let's go on a little adventure here. The white lines of having the L line is when the all-time high was being broken from before. So you can see wick here, but once the candle bodies were closing above, we didn't have much time left. And again, alt season was in here, going back to 2017. And all because this is a pattern we've noticed doesn't mean it has to repeat. 2017, kind of similar to what we're dealing with now, this gray line, and I'll bring it out here with the dashed line. It went up to the former all-time high from, 2013, peaked above with the wick, but then sold back down. It was still maintaining bullish momentum on the 20-week moving average, but once the candle bodies consistently were closing above, we were not too far away from just the end of the cycle. Maybe it's around 6 months. So if that happens, maybe start your timers something like around 6 months, give or take a couple, as to when the top of this cycle might be. Now, we did get this double peak, but again, the top really was in here. If you were in miners, many of the miners, most miners, or altcoins, I told you guys about Bitcoin dominance. This is a great chart to watch. And when dominance has tanked the last two times from the 60% to the low 40%, and this will happen around a month time frame, that's when alt season's going crazy. That's when you're going to see miners and altcoins do a 5, 10, 20, even a 50x. Should you pick the right ones? Of course, there's no guarantee in that. And what is nice here, I have a couple trend lines here. Remember what I like to say, trend lines are only good for as long as they're good for. One that's been coming down, one that's going across. And around this area, there's some confluence of the trend lines, around 58%. So I'm wondering if at the very least, dominance just has to kind of get near here before coming down, or around that area. We'll see. Every cycle, there's something different. This cycle already, there was a new all-time high before the halving. So you don't want to get caught up into patterns and predictions too much, because as much as so many YouTubers like to talk about and make predictions, really none of us have any idea where the hell the price is going to go. We might have a guess based on things that have happened in the past and have kind of repeated themselves, diminished returns each cycle, things such as that. But there's no guarantee. So please note that, again, none of this is financial advice, but we're just trying to use data to help us have the best educated guess. If we are putting in our hard-earned money, we want to get the most value we can. And it is my goal here on this channel. I see so many channels with ridiculous predictions that give people this false hope that something's going to 100x, and they have stupid price predictions. I try to be cautiously optimistic, and hey, if we are going to have, let's say, 150 to 200K Bitcoin, I try to look at, okay, what might that mean for some of these altcoins and miners? So I do try to be conservatively bullish in my predictions. All right, enough talking. Let's get to some of these miner stocks. And the first one we are going to start out with is Marathon Digital Holdings. And so you can see here, I drew a fib from the prior high to the low. And last time we looked at this, we noted that this has been in some upward momentum here. There's the 0.5, we have the 100, the dark blue is the 200, the orange is the 50. All these moving averages right by the 0.5, and I think that makes for a very strong base, hence why we bounce so hard off of here. So it is concerning we do have these lower highs, and I'll probably show that on the daily. So you could say here, I could draw a trend line. I'm not going to waste the time, but a little bit of a flag pattern, or, higher low, higher high. And here, look, we have the 50 and the 100. So next is the 618 at 2371. So it's got to test that. And I'm not going to do this for all the minor stocks, but if you're wondering what some price predictions are, or price targets, if you will, if you draw a fib and you take it off log scale, it'll look a little bit like this. And when you scroll on the numbers on the right, you can see these Fibonacci extensions come down. And again, we want to be realistic with these. So when we take a look at any crypto, mining stock, or altcoin, you want to keep in mind market cap. And I have a really hard time believing that anything outside of altcoins in the top 20 list get into something over 100 billion, even if it's just for a little bit. So if we do calculate where this might go, okay, we're around 20, a 6.5x would be at this 1618. A 10x would be at the 2618. So could this get to 57 billion? Seems possible. So maybe you take a look at the 2618 price at 213 as a possible price target in one of the best case scenarios. I'm not saying it has to get there. In prior cycles, I've seen the price of altcoins not get to new all-time highs that it did in the 2017 cycle. So do know there are no guarantees, but let's say this is breaking above all-time high when Bitcoin dominance tanks, when it's alt season and it gets above or it gets to the 1618, maybe you take some profits there and, see if it can go a little bit higher. Do I think this can do more than a 10x? I'm not really leaning too much that way, but hey, who knows? And here would be some extensions to target if you believe that. So, higher risk, greater reward. But if it were me, I'm not giving you advice, but I'd at least get my buy-in back, play with house money, and at least have skin in the game. So, not a horrible level for Marathon as of right now. For Riot, this one you can see is I took it off log last time. And what's cool about Riot is there's this trend line. Yes, it touched right here and it wicked above, but look at how it's wicked up to this trend line. And even, I'd say, came up to it for the most part over here, but 3 times. So I'm wondering if this would be a price target. One of the fib extensions would be the 1618 at 126. So if it did get that high, Riot's at 10 right now. So that'd be about a 12, 13x. And you would just multiply that times 3. So 3 times 13, that would be around a $39 billion market cap. Cool. I can see it. Again, I'm not saying it'll stay there, but just so you guys can see how dominance and the alt season, how quick things can take off. I mean, look at this. This is November of 2020 right here. Riot's at 350, and all of a sudden it's at $80, about wicking up there just inside of a few months. So this, by the way, November 2020, December, November, was when Bitcoin was breaking its former all-time highs from 2017. So things can happen pretty fast, and that's why I'm watching the candle bodies on Bitcoin. Once it starts to consistently break above, hey, maybe start the timer. We may have something like 4 to 8 months left until we get to the peak. Who knows? So that's just based off prior data, but again, things can always be different. Next, let's take actually we haven't taken a look at the current price action. My apologies. So let's take Riot, and because we're between the former highs and lows, let's take our fib and put it back on the log scale, and you can see the which one is that? The 382. You can see that the price is below the 382. It is bearish. It's got a lot of resistance right now. So the 50, the 100, the 200, even this trend line, it got underneath there. And okay, right here you could say high or low. If we go to the daily, yeah, that's looking pretty bad right there. So we had a higher low, but then it fell down and through there. So, higher low from here only, but my bullish mind and brain will say, well, bearish case, this is falling pretty bad. Bullish, this is great value, because look at the value of where it is in this last year. If you've done your research and you really like Riot, we are within the range of the yearly lows. And so you're getting great value, and we have price action back here. So I could draw another trend line, kind of like I did here. So with Riot, you are getting deep value. The chart isn't looking as strong as some of the other ones I'll show you. I believe CleanSpark has a much stronger looking chart. And yet, on the flip side, hey, there's deep value, but do your research and figure out why is that? Why isn't Riot performing as well as others? Um, Sometimes, though, I can tell you this from being in the 2017 and 2021 bull runs with some altcoins, is that there will be coins just doing pretty much nothing. All of a sudden, they just blast off pretty close to the end, and that's it. And you have to be ready to sell. If any of these miners or altcoins all of a sudden do a 10 or 20x, guys, that's not normal. That's very rare. Without giving you advice, I would be hard pressed if that happened to me not to take profits, because as I showed you, it can be 4+ years in between those cycle tops. And, is it possible things just melt up forever and you're one of those Bitcoin crypto maxis and hey, Bitcoin's going to 500K or a million and I'm going to hold forever? Okay, cool. If you did that back here, yes, you would be well in the green to never sell. But you could also take profits, buy back in, take profits, buy back in. It's all up to you and what your comfort level is. Let's move on. Let's go to CleanSpark. Let's start trying to fly through these a little more. So CleanSpark, stronger looking chart overall. It has this high here in January of 21 at around 42. And what's important here to note is the top or the alt season, when it happened, it was around here, March or April. So it went from 41 back down to 23. So do know some of these can run before alt season, as we are showing right here. So right now, CleanSpark, it is at 16, and I showed you guys how to look at the price targets. Again, I said I'm not going to do it for all of them, but I'll do one more. I'll do one more for you guys. I do want to fly through these a little quicker. So you can take a look at some of these targets. Got let's see, almost a 4 billion market cap, close to that, and it's at 16. So, if it did a 10x, that'd be around these extensions. The 3618 is at 149, the 4236 is at 173. So maybe around here can be your best case scenario targets. Maybe you're someone just looking for, I don't know, a 3x, a 5x, something like that. You might only be targeting the 1618 at 67. So those can be some price targets to look for. But overall, pretty strong looking chart, and it's been going sideways for a little bit. As it has, do know in this bullish run that we've had, it's only come down to the 100-day moving average, and look where we're at. So if you're mega bullish on CleanSpark, you love it. Well, hey, with the moving average here, with the 100-day, you're getting some quote-unquote deep, semi-deep value, not super deep value. I like the 200-day or the 50-week. But if you bought it here, hey, I wouldn't blame you. If this is something you love, hey, we have accumulation. It's been bouncing off the 100. Great. Is it possible it falls down and through? Yes. But here at Market Psychology, remember what I say, we look for value when there's fear. So even if it does fall through, if this is something you've researched and believe in, if you like buying it here, you should love buying it here. I don't want to promote ever for you guys to ever buy something just as a gamble and then get pissed off when it goes lower. If it goes lower, your mind should be thinking, hey, this is a discount. And if you don't love something to invest in enough to have that mindset, you should not put your hard-earned money into it. So again, if you like it here, you've done enough research, you've written your plan. If you like something at a price here, then you should love it here. And if you don't like it that much to do that, to invest more when it goes lower, you should not put money into it. So really make sure you believe into what you are putting your money into and do your own research. So CleanSpark overall, it's looking like one of the better miners on the charts here. Next, let's go to Cypher. And so Cypher, let's load up here. All right, Cypher, let's go to you can see that one's on the 100 too. Let's go to the weekly. So the weekly, man, it's there at the 100 week. It's come down to it. So, similar to what I just said, the 50 is not too far away at 340. At this point, it's at the 618. You'd be pinching pennies if you're waiting for that. So, if you really like Cypher, I don't think it's a bad target. If it does start to fly, then the next area to look for would be around 686. So Cypher looking good. Let's go to Wolf. I hope you guys can notice. I'm trying to speed up how I talk about things a little bit here. So Wolf, look at that candle. That's a pretty good one. Let's put this back on auto. Wolf with a very strong candle. And look at that. It came right to that trend line that we drew from these peaks before. So remember what I said, trend lines are only good for as long as they're good for, but the candle body went right to the trend line. The wick almost went up to the, I'm forgetting that number again, the 382. I know 236, 382, I sometimes forget. So this is important. You can see it tested it once, twice, even peaked above it, came back down. So a little bit of a fake out here. So if it gets above the 382 and this 100-week moving average, well, there's really only one other test left, the final boss at the 0.5 and this 200-week moving average. So getting through here is important. You can see it's tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in different weeks. And TeraWolf, what I do like about it, as far as a deep value play, look at the all-time high. It's at 43, 44, and where the price is now. If it just gets back to that, how amazing would that be? And if it goes above to one of the extensions, amazing. Next, let's go to Bit Digital. So Bit Digital, I drew this earlier, I think last week, and was curious to see, is this going to break above? It's not really too much of a trend line, but it is in this downward channel, and I want to see it break above. So before, I had this U shape, and it kind of looks like maybe it's getting ready to do that again. And this one you can see at 420, smoke them if you got them, or eat them, whatever. We have the 0.5. So not only does it have to get there, but again, look for the candle bodies. I would like to see it closing above. It's got the 100, the wick almost right up to the 100-week, the 200, and the 0.5. So different levels to look for. The 100 at around 3, here at around 380, and this around 420. So Bit Digital, it could be getting ready to break up. Next, let's look at Bitfarms. And I have another one requested in a video last week that we're going to take a look at. Bitfarms. Again, this one, in the last few weeks, it's coming up, and the 618 is at around 285. A little bit of fake out here. You can see that we only once got this candle body closing above it, but it was a super long-legged doji, and that was not good. It got extended and then just sold off for a few months. That's brutal. But it has all these moving averages here, the 0.5. So looking strong to have another push and hopefully go a bit higher. Before I go to Iris, Energy, and Chorus, I want to take a look at one that was requested in the comments, and that was Canaan. And I looked at this before I started the video, and my fib was only drawn to around this dotted line right here. And so the last time I looked at it, I don't know when it was, it obviously fell through. So it's just been going lower and lower. And there's nothing back over here. This guy came out at around December of 2019, so not looking too good. If we go over to the monthly, let's take a look at the monthly intervals. At the very least, look for one of these monthly buy signals. Now, what kind of sucks for any of you guys that got into this one, if you drew a fib and you just connected it maybe from this low back here, you can see that it came down there, kind of formed a base, tested it, had a couple monthly buy signals, and I could have seen people being faked out right here and buying this one. But then it just got duped, went lower. I would not have bought this one, even though there's a super long-legged doji, because we did have these lower lows. But hey, sometimes these things can V bottom reversal, but it had one positive month and then has been selling off. Bullish case scenario, yeah, we have these higher lows. Do we see anything on the weekly? Well, it started to turn up and now it's turning back down again. So if it stops somewhere in here, that'd be good. If we take that off and let's add on the RSI. What does the RSI tell us? The relative strength index. You can see here overall the RSI this is kind of even, but it does look like it's forming higher lows a little bit. So not too much here. But what is nice here, okay, look at this. The price went lower, but overall the strength, the base of the strength went higher. So you could say, hey, maybe there's some bullish divergence. So sometimes these things can take a while to play out. It is pretty deep down at those levels. So possibly some good deep value. I would not doubt if it goes lower. I would want to see it stop going lower at around 90 cents. Like if it starts to get under 90 cents, I get worried it's, you're just catching a falling knife. There was one other indicator I wanted to take a look at for whoever requested this. And yeah, that's the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. I want to see what this one shows. And over here, okay, you can see that the MACD is possibly getting ready to flip up. And what does it show on the monthly? Not too much there. On the weekly, though, I would like to see this flip positive and possibly signal that, okay, we're going to start going up. But, risky play in my opinion. But if you've done your research on Canaan and you really like where it's at a $276 million market cap. So, I feel like we're almost talking about a possible penny stock play, more of a gamble. But, look at this top. It got up to 40 in March of 21. That was when alt season was going off. So, it's at $1. Could this thing get all the way back up and do a 40x? You got to put your money where your mouth is. But not loving this chart right now when we have other charts that look a lot stronger. If it is something you like, maybe you throw some educated gambling money at it, just to say, hey, if this 40x is by the time Bitcoin dominance tanks, by the time the charts, get really extended, if this 40x is cool, if not, cut your losses and live with the risk. Two more. We have Iris Energy Limited. And this one, we had that trend line and we've been breaking above it. And man, this one is looking great. So yeah, that last chart was a little bit depressing. This one makes me feel good and happy with butterflies and unicorns inside. So next, it's got to get past this right here, so there is some price action that has to push above. Otherwise, it's just a macro lower high, but it looks pretty strong. And if so, it's got to test this 786 level at around $14. So that's the next stop right here. And if this one gets super bullish, you guys know how to look for those extensions. So 1 billion market cap, maybe you're going to look for 10 to 20 billion at max, if it runs up there. And lastly, let's take a look at cores. And, I've been thinking about this one a lot lately because I don't want to steer you guys wrong. I don't want to FUD anyone out of some possible big plays. And cores, hey, it's looking great. It's got a new high. The candle body's as high as it's ever been. I've said on this channel before that I don't touch new IPOs or new altcoins, at least within a year or two. It depends on when it comes out. The fact it came out after around the Bitcoin ETF and, right around or before Bitcoin was making a new all-time high, it does have me concerned. Last cycle, there are so many examples of altcoins that when they came out after the all-time high, maybe they ran a little, but then they tanked hard. But I was thinking back to 2017, and in the bullish scenario, I remember in 2017, there were some altcoins that came out that were right in here. Now, it was a new all-time high territory. It was above this 2013 price. So, Bitcoin was way above that. There were some new altcoins that came out in here that did do a 20x. I want to say Tron was one of them. There were some others as well, Tron TRX. So I don't want to tell you guys that, these things can't go up. What I look for on the charts is anything to give us a competitive advantage. And really, if you're buying into these when it's brand new, in my opinion, you're buying the research. You're buying whether or not you truly like and love the idea, and you're taking a risk there. Now, could that risk pay off and you could hit it big time? Sure. Do be ready to pull the profits when Bitcoin dominance tanks, or when we get into those cycle peaks, as I showed you here. Do be ready to take profits in these orange and red zones. Please, for the love of God. Because when it falls hard. At least it has in the past. So I think with these, you're buying more of the research. It's hard to have any sort of competitive advantage when we're taking a look at a chart this new. So you can say, hey, yeah, we've been 7 weeks green, almost 2 months green, and things are looking great. And this thing's at $7. It's at a 1 billion market cap. Maybe it can go to $70. Something like a 12, 13 billion market cap, or $140. Sure, I have no idea. So do your research, do your due diligence. If I have considered some IPOs in the past, and for me to even consider buying any of those, I really have to love the research, because so many times I've seen these things, even if they spike up, fall really hard, like 90+%. So best of luck. If you are putting your money into this, I hope you make great money from it. But my suggestion would be to love the research. And even saying that, I struggle with, because I have loved the research on altcoins and things in the past that did not turn out. So, no one hits 100%. Don't let anyone tell you that. And I thought maybe I hit some possible winners. I did hit on Tron and DNT, District OX, but I've missed on others. So, hey, you live with the wins and the losses. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you're all doing well. I'll try to get a stock video out this weekend. No promises. Have quite a busy weekend, celebrating with friends, just some things in my personal life. And in the near future, just so you guys know, there will be a lull in videos coming out from me. I'll maybe put out some shorts, because I am going on a much needed and deserved vacation, with some money to play with from a recent stock that I sold some great profits from. Comment below if you can guess what it is. It's a very well-known one that I bought late October 22. But do know I will be gone on a little vacation in the near future. So if you're looking for some videos from me, I'll try to put out some shorts or some things, especially if the market starts to go crazy, just to keep you guys in the loop. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.